Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for All You Can Eat Chelsea. We've got a special guest in the building. Yeah, Guni, man knows football. Talk to us. How are you doing, sir? Looking good.
Listen, this is the secret. I'm really just Eunice. I've just come back with a bit of a tan, and just 10 times a lot more handsome. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's actually done me a lot of good favors. So yeah, I'm doing good, man. How are the two of you doing?
Good, very good. And I mean, Miz, the other side of the coin, flip that coin and there's no football. I mean, I know internationals are going on, but it's actually quite a quiet time in the Chelsea community. How have you been?
Yeah, man, it's maybe good. It's given me some time to be with the family, which is fantastic. And there's gonna be a storm is brewing very soon, come October. So don't worry, there'll be plenty of news. So it's good to have a bit of break now.
100%. And before we get into it, I was actually thinking this just before we started recording, and I was coming back from my auntie's. And I was thinking the first time I spoke to Guni, and it was about this show, because I know that I think your son, isn't it, watches it, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
And I remember that's the first time I started speaking to Guni was actually because this show, and he said that son loves the show. And now Guni is finally on the show. Well overdue, obviously, but of course, this was the time to get it done with Eunice still away.
He's in the other room, by the way, and he's got no idea this is going on. So tomorrow when he watches it, he's just going to be like, when did this happen? But yeah, it's a nice surprise for him.
No, it's quality. I was just circling back to that and thinking, raw, that is full circle. That is actually mad. And yeah, man, what a time. I mean, like I said before we started, it's a quiet time in the Chelsea community, and I feel like it's needed. Even still, main character syndrome does exist, and Chelsea is still trying to be, sacking commercial director, rejected by the sporting director at Salzburg. We're still trying to make the headlines as much as possible, but I think, the football gods are saying, listen, just simmer down, y'all. Just calm down, relax. I'm not gonna write a book about this one. Some people will write books, not me today. But I want to start with Hudson-Odoi, because I haven't spoken about this on this channel. You guys have probably maybe covered it already in video or even tweet format. But I think Hudson-Odoi, this report of him potentially coming back in January, I don't know if we actually have the clause to bring him back, but I'm seeing Graham Potter wanted to bring him back, or was looking at potentially bringing him back. And when Graham Potter first came in, I said, who he really would have probably liked was Hudson-Odoi, especially with the system that we were talking about with the wingers. They're not really wing backs. They're really high up the pitch. And I thought Hudson-Odoi's kind of been molded and learned that wing back role under Tuchel. And of course, he's naturally a winger. He would have provided some proper competition out there. Whereas, Ziyech, maybe headspace gone, Pulisic, headspace gone. But Guni, I'll start with you. Do you want him to come back if the opportunity came?
As soon as January? No. No. I want him to continue out his loan at the Bundesliga. I think he deserves a full season somewhere where he can, it's still early days over there. There's still a lot for him to do. There's still a lot of proving for him to do. And I also want to see if he can hold down the place consistently at a club like Bayer Leverkusen and put in performances week in, week out. Because no disrespect to Bayer Leverkusen, the next step above from clubs like that is a club like Chelsea. So he's got to prove himself and show his consistencies over there before he can come back. And I think that he needs at least a season. And I think this loan move has come probably 2 or 3 years a bit later than it should have.
Yep.
But here we are. So let's see. I think he's going to do well there. I even think he fits in the style of football there, and there's a lot that he can learn. So I think he should stay. I don't really think he should come back so early.
Miz, how do you feel about it? Because I've always been maybe higher on Hudson-Odoi than you have, and you've always felt, more development's needed. I agree with you, more development, especially in the shooting. If we're talking about final third winger, you got to be able to shoot consistently, pick those corners and add goals to your game. So how do you feel about potentially bringing him in? Because the caveat is, and the other side is that the wingers that we have, some of them are mentally gone. So what do we do?
Nah, man, I'm with Guni as well. Like this loan needs to continue. As Guni said, probably should have happened maybe a couple of seasons ago. I like Callum Hudson-Odoi, but I have to be honest. Like there's a lot of things, when it comes to, you mentioned about shooting, but there's other factors. 1v1, Matisse, as a winger, you've got to be able to rattle the opposition. And this is something Callum has not been able to do that in Chelsea Football Club. There's injuries probably affected it, confidence maybe as well. He's that burst of pace. We've seen glimpses of it here and there, but he's not been able to generate that on demand. As I said, 1v1 is a bit of an issue. Shooting, obviously, his crossing has always been good, and that's where he tends to get a lot of the good assists and whatnot. His passing is not that bad either. He tends to deliver those. I still remember last season there was a match. I think Lukaku came back against Aston Villa, and he produced a couple of assists for Lukaku in that match with some really, really good one. I think it was a cross, and the other one was a pass through the middle. So look, I want him to stay at Leverkusen, continue there, because it seems like he's getting regular minutes over there. They really value him. And now he's playing an interesting role as a number 10. It's not always out wide. He is coming into central locations and playing as a 10. Develop, my man. You've got a lot to work on. Get that confidence up. I hope Graham Potter, I know you might have liked him at Brighton when you were there, that you fancied someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi, but let the brother just continue developing. I don't want him to come back to Chelsea, not get those regular minutes, and then stagnate again, and then have more disgruntled players. Like, I know Callum's probably not going to be one of them, but you never know. Frustrations could kick in down the track. It's not like he's getting younger, he's getting older. He's still young, but the age just mounts up. So look, man, stay and develop. Yeah.
Do you know what as well? This number 10 role that he's playing, obviously Liam Tooney did an article on The Athletic about this as well. And I've seen the quotes from the manager at Bayer Leverkusen and the director, I think, really glowing reviews, always saying he's a key part of the team. We want him to play. He was involved in both the goals against Atletico Madrid. He got an assist on his debut there, coming off the bench in the Bundesliga. He's got Champions League football. I agree with both of you. I think he should be staying there. I've actually been so excited for him to almost get out of his comfort zone, in the fact that he's always been here since he broke into the team at 17. He's never gone abroad. He's never gone on loan. He's never maybe had to move out of his surroundings that he's been used to since his development, get away from the family, get away from all of the comforts and the friends, and go out there. You have to learn a new language. We'll see if he does that. Doesn't have to, but it's an option. Just all of those other things outside of football that will help him grow as a person. It's nice to see for him. And I think this number 10 role is interesting because he is very good at creating opportunities for others. It's an interesting position that we've never spoken about for Hudson-Odoi, because out wide, I think his crossing is quite good. That's something that's always been able to utilize. He's been able to fizz those balls. And I remember the assist he got against Malmo for Ziyech out on that right-hand side when they switched flanks. And he put in a lovely ball across the goal. Ziyech puts it in the back of the net. He's putting in some good crosses in pre-season from the right-hand side. But like you said, the 1v1 ability, the shooting, that needs to go up a gear, many gears actually. But he's always had a good switch of play, a good cross, a good chipped ball, as we saw on his debut. He has good range in his passing. It's something that you can see distinctly he has and Pulisic doesn't. Whereas Pulisic in front of goal when he's at his best is a lot better. And he used to be really good at going past players. Now he seems to be a bit up and down. So, I mean, Guni, this number 10 position, or that Havertz position, let's call it that role that he played against against Zagreb, that was for me very disappointing. Could you see Hudson-Odoi playing in that 10 role?
I mean, I know we saw Graham Potter use it against I was gonna say Leipzig, Salzburg. Again, for me, it remains to be seen whether he's going to consistently be using a number 10. But if he does, then I don't see why not. I mean, quite rightly, like you said, a lot of his strengths come through creation. I've liked him, how he's been doing out on the wings for Chelsea when he's been asked to. A lot of it is his forte. He does like to isolate defenders one-on-one. He does like the challenge of trying to beat them. And also on top of that as well is the fact that we seem to be committing more numbers forward as well in terms of bodies. And I think that's going to help him a hell of a lot more if he's going to be in that creative position. Because one problem that I've had with Chelsea, just one of the several tactical things that I've seen, is that a lot of the times we're not getting enough bodies in the box. We're not getting enough bodies in front of that quote unquote a creative midfielder for them to be creating anything. Do you know what I mean? It's 9 times out of 10 we've got 3 players in the box while the other team's got 6, or we've got 2 and they've got 5, 6 or 7 or whatever. That doesn't help any kind of creator, does it? So let's see. I mean, it remains to be seen. Do I think he's got the skill set to do it? 1000% I do. It's my issue with him, like both you and Miz have said, it's his finishing. That's the problem that I've had. His finishing has been my main problem. That's the thing. And on top of that, his injuries, but there's nothing else that you can really do about that. We just got to hope that he shakes that off as he gets older into his career.
My only other thing, and I really like this whole idea of number 10, you know, as Guni once again said, like that creativity is lacking in our team. And maybe that's something that, you know, he can perhaps develop to be more of a creative player as opposed to be a goal scorer. But my thing with Bundesliga is, and I haven't watched Leverkusen and I've wanted to watch a lot, but we've seen other teams in Bundesliga. The amount of space that's always available in Bundesliga, it's easy to get those threaded balls through the defenders. It's easy to whip in that cross and find your striker. As much as I want him to play that number 10 role, but I want him to be challenged against, you know, the low block teams that are more compact in defense. Because we've seen Sancho, he was killing it in Bundesliga, and it's not the same when he's come to the Premier League. And many players who've gone through that same sort of situation. So look, develop, but maybe that footballing IQ, Matisse, do you know what I mean? Like that IQ, develop that. I think that's more important when you come to Chelsea. You know, I don't want to see, you know, dribbling with your head down and missing out on players that are running. And it's not necessarily Callum. There are other players that do that. It's that footballing IQ. What do you do in that final third? Do you know what I mean? And we've got that issue at the moment with a lot of our players who sort of panic in the final third. It's all too rushed and panicked. And that is, I'm hoping that he can, you know, develop in Bundesliga.
Yeah, I think for him as well, I think the confidence is desperately needed, which is why I kind of like the Bundesliga switches, because yeah, it might be easier for sure to find space and to get those numbers up, but that's probably exactly what he needs, is to get those numbers up and to get that confidence, and then hopefully it translates. I think his awareness is pretty strong. He's always had good underlying metrics in terms of creating chances or final, you know, passes into the box or whatever. So he seems to perform well on the statistical sides. It's obviously, when you're watching, you can see the creativity's there, but obviously the all-round game is still lacking. There's still more to do. But I think the key with him is his attitude at the moment is probably a lot better and stronger than the Pulisic and the Ziyech in terms of applying yourself to what we're trying to do at Chelsea. Now, maybe that will change. Maybe those players will get back on side now with a new manager. But if Graham Potter's already thinking of trying to recall someone in January when he's got wingers right now that he hasn't even really used for that long, it's an interesting one. It's slightly puzzling. But the other big, major topic, and this is kind of going to be an ongoing topic throughout the season, but I've seen it come up a few times. We saw some contract rejections. We saw Mendy reject a contract, but we also saw Kante reject a contract. And I thought about it, and I never addressed this either. Him rejecting a contract on here, and apparently Potter's had talks with him as well internally, and it will be interesting to see what he does with Jorginho as well. Kante, I don't know when he's back fit. I'm not sure. Is he back in training yet?
Apparently he's training. Yeah, Nizak in Salah. Yeah, he's training apparently. Yeah.
There's a big divide now, and it's not toxic, but there's a big divide online when we speak about Kante now, which there wasn't before. It used to be almost unanimous that you just give him whatever he wants. Now people are starting to think about it and say, value for money, what are we getting? You see the likes of, yes, Chouameni, who could have been a Kante replacement if we had acted on time when the opportunity was presented to us, that we could have bought him for 40 million euros the year before Real Madrid did. And then you look at how Chouameni's performing for France and for Real Madrid statistically and with the eye test, and you think to yourself, if you had someone of that caliber in your team and you found someone, scouted someone, found someone and paid the price, paid the money for a player like that, how much would you really miss Kante in this team if you actually replaced him properly with a top player?
You see that name. Just the mention of the name Chouameni turns my stomach. It makes me sick to my stomach. The fact that we just let him go like that, man, insane.
Because, you know, on the ball as a passer, you know, for me, he's a better passer. You could see some of the passes he's playing, but also off the ball, he has that defensive nous. He's able to win those tackles, make those interceptions. He's doing it at Real Madrid. And what I find so incredible at that Ancelotti midfield, him, Camavinga, and Valverde, the three young up-and-coming guys to replace the Kroos, Modric, and obviously Casemiro's already left. All three of those young players are versatile. They can all pick up the ball in the first phase. They can all go into the final phase and play the final pass. They're all working hard, especially Valverde and obviously Tchouaméni, but Valverde pulls off to the right, sometimes gives them a new dynamic. So with the Champions League final, I think he got the assist across the box for Vinicius. The midfield three there is just so interchangeable. And Tchouaméni, sometime, I even saw him in the game, I think it was the last game that they played in La Liga. He stepped forward sometimes at Atletico Madrid. He stepped forward, played some key killer passes that we ask our midfielders to do, where we lack chance creation, lack creativity. He was playing those passes and he was instructing Kroos to, you go and stay back now, sit in front of the back line, and I'll move forward. And obviously, don't worry, I'll get back as well. This is the type of player we need, but we need someone who not only do we need someone who can sit in front of a defense like a Jorginho, but be maybe more traditional DM, Premier League made DM, more well-rounded physically. We also need someone who can pass the ball as well. And we need to find someone like him who ticks all those boxes. And then I don't think people will cry as much about these injury issues that we know are already there for Kante. So not asking you guys what player, because we don't know. I mean, that's for the new head of recruitment from Brighton to decide. But what is your limitations with Kante in this new contract? Do you just say, like some people, give him whatever he wants, or are you saying this many years, this many wages? Like, what is your limitation? Because there are limitations now with the player, whether people like it or not. From a fitness standpoint, we ain't getting what we're paying for.
Look, we need to revamp that midfield, and the revamp needs to start ASAP. I've got no issues with Kante staying, but there's different stipulations. One, his wages. He's one of the top earners at Chelsea Football Club. For someone who is not available even at 50%, like that's a lot of money to pay out for someone who's not going to be around almost 50% of the time. So that's one stipulation. Second, he apparently got an offer from Chelsea for 2 + 1 year. He's 31, I believe. So 2 + 1 potentially takes him up to 34, 3 years. But he wants 3 + 1. I understand from his perspective why he wants that. It's the last hurrah. Let's get that. And then after that, maybe I'll think about going to PSG or whatever, or go to MLS or whatever the thing is, the last contract. But I think 2 + 1 is quite generous from Chelsea's point of view. 2 + 1, that's potentially 3 more years on a player. And you have to be self-aware. You've got to make a self-assessment. I haven't been available for Chelsea, not just this current issue, last season, the season before that, the season before that. It's been a while now that this has been going on. So there's the wages, there's the contract time. And then I think about your playing time as well. I don't know if I want to invest more time on Kante when I've got players like Chukwuemeka coming up the ranks, when I've got possibly, I don't know, Cesar Casedi down the track in the academy, XYZ, and we're looking to buy more players in midfield. I'm okay if Kante wants to have that odd big game to start, and then the other games, if you want to come off the bench and really give us that impetus off the bench in the final 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and really assure us in that midfield, right? I'm not sure if Kante is going to be happy with that kind of role. And he has to understand your body is it's not getting younger, my man. Like, your body is now slowing down. You are not cut out to play 3 times or even twice a week. Big matches, 90 minutes after 90 minutes, you will break down it, and it's the words are there. So for me, look, man, I'm okay if we pull the plug. The thing is, here's another player that's potentially going to go out on a free. That's what burns me, because there is some market value for him.
How much do you think he's worth right now?
Look, it all depends on the contract, doesn't it? Right now, because he's only got, less than a year to go, people probably come to him. If we were to sell him, let's say in January.
Oh, he'd be worth not much. But if he gave him a new contract and he had a normal amount of time left, say 3 years left.
Let's say 2 + 1 year that Chelsea was offering, 2 + 1 year. I think we could still let him go for about 30 million. He's still got value. I reckon you'd get 30 million off him. When you look at some of the other players, who's that Morgan Gibbs guy that went to
Gibbs White,
Nottingham? Gibbs White that went to Nottingham Forest for 43 million.
The thing is about Kante is he had a great performance against Tottenham. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's clearly top performances in there. I don't think they're as consistent as people make out over the stretch of a whole Premier League season. I don't think you're getting 8s and 9s out of Kante every single week, but you're getting some definitely some very high highs. But yeah, I think I always found the narrative funny that Kante was just going to accept any contract. Kante doesn't have an agent, or he doesn't have any valuation of himself or what he believes he should get. He's just a humble little bald guy, and he's just going to take whatever. Sorry, Guni. Explain to the people that bald people have rights and they will not accept just any contract.
Yeah, and bald people go to the barbers too, man. I was there today, bro. I'm as smooth as eggs, fam. But this situation, bro, the Kante situation, yeah. I love the little guy. I love him. I love him to bits. He's one of my all-time favorite Chelsea players. But I'm also a very objective thinker. I think he should have gone this summer. Both him and Jorginho should have left the club. And, you know, this is looking at it from an objective perspective. Thank you very much for what you've done for the club, 100%. And there's still a player in there. But unfortunately, this is what Chelsea Football Club does. The reason why Kante is in this state is because of us in the first place. We never gave him the adequate rest ever since Maurizio Sarri's time, all the way up until now. We're just rushing this guy back, thinking that Kante Superman can run up and down the pitch all the time. That's just how he is. But now he's broken down. You cannot rely on him to play a consistent season. You can't do that. And once you lose your availability, then you lose a lot of your value, regardless of the level that you are playing at. Now, if it was a case where we were like Manchester City and we was just patterned in every position ×2, right? Pretty much. I'm not saying Man City are, but they're close to it. If we're in that position, then I can say, yeah, from a sympathetic perspective, we've had him since how long he's won, how many trophies for Chelsea. We can bring him on and off from here on out or whatever. Or if he's happy with it, latter stages in the Champions League, we'll just consistently play him there and sporadically in the league. We're not in a position to do that. And quite like Miz said as well, he's one of the highest paid players at Chelsea Football Club. And we know in this game, not just in N'Golo Kante, and people that are putting Kante in that level of him being a child and living in La La Land and just want to play football, let me break it down to you. This is a grown-ass man that got a family to take care of as well. Yeah? Got to remember that. Wages don't go down, especially when you're in N'Golo Kante with the CV that you've got. You're a World Cup winner. You're Champions League winner. You're a Euros winner. You're a Prem winner. You've won everything. Your P's ain't going to go down. It's not going to happen. You still have value. So the next contract for him is either going to be on par with what he's on right now, or it's going to be more than what
even Azpilicueta got a wage increase.
You see what I'm saying? And for me, it's time for us to start making them decisions where, you know, they don't start building up, because this is what happened last time. See what I mean? Oh, it's okay. We'll give this guy, we'll give a Batshuayi a deal and then we'll loan him out. Oh, we'll give Ross Barkley 150,000, 120,000. We'll give Danny Drinkwater 120,000, whatever. No, we got to stop it. We've got to drop them. We've got to drop the wages in the team. So when these top players or youth players that are developing through Cobham are good enough to step in, they're not being cost by players that could have left or that are injury prone or whatever. So for me, it's a case where we have to move on from the player. And I think we've handled the Kante situation terribly. It shouldn't be in a position where he's got a year left on his contract. Right about now, we should be having 2, maybe 3. And we're discussing, okay, cool. We might get the same price that we bought him for and still sell him, because we bought him for what, 32.5?
Yeah.
We should be selling him at least for that. I know he's 31, injury prone, but if he had the time in his contract, we could definitely say, okay, listen, you want him 32.5 M's, take him. Should have been the case, but
because my always, and this is the same we're going to apply with Jorginho in a second when we get to him. My thing is that what is Kante here to decide or define for this football club? Is it a Premier League winning season? No. For me, 2nd to 4th is the same thing. Yeah, we want points, progression, and we want better football amongst that. But you keep a Kante in the last stage of his career because you're going for a Premier League win or something, and you just feel like he's going to make that little difference between winning it or being a Liverpool and finishing second. But we're not playing with those margins. No, so exactly. If we're in a rebuild, we're trying to get ourselves back up there. And he's not going to be here when we're back up there. If we get back up there, he's just not going to be around for that. So if you're rebuilding, then actually rebuild. And that means rebuild the midfield. Now, a lot of people in the comments will say, why are we even talking about Kante before we talk about Gallagher? Why are we talking about Jorginho before we even talk about this player? But at the end of the day, Gallagher is a squad player, and he's probably delighted and happy to just be a squad player right now and be involved. And he's moldable and he's coachable. As much as I've given him criticism for his performances, you could coach him or you could make more money from him in a few years. Kante is only going down. We've seen the best of him. I speak about it all the time with the Liverpool friends. You've seen the best of Van Dijk. You've seen the best of Salah. You've seen the best of all these guys. You can hope and pray that they're gonna come back. It's not gonna happen. And while you're waiting for them to come back up, you're just gonna keep slowly dipping like that because you're not improving the team. We're trying to improve the starting 11 here, and these are starting 11 paid players in terms of how much they make and how much they cost you on the bill. And people will think we can have a 290k player that only plays 10, 15 key games a season. It's not possible. Todd Bowie will not see that in business as value for money. He won't. He'll be saying, that player, if I'm paying you the most, you play the most. If you don't play the most, then either take way less, which is what we're discussing, or you got to go. Because the wages and the contributions is not aligning. And you can't go back in history to justify what you do in the future. Otherwise, you'll never move forward. Jorginho is a similar case. I mean, 1 year left on his deal. What would you guys propose for this man? Because the Italian stallion, there needs to be not only competition for his place, but an upgrade, in my opinion, as well. Because I'm trying to see a world-class holding midfielder at this football club now. As much as he's given.
Do you know what? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. That revamp, like, it's necessary. Before I touch on Jorginho, like, the new director of football, I've said it recently that as much as it's important to get new players in, I think it's very important to know when you got to let go of a player. Like, as Guni once again said, that we should have probably not been in this situation for N'Golo Kante where it's in the final year. And once again for Jorginho as well, we should be in a situation where he's got 2 years left and we can make a decision as to what to do. I think with the director of football, I hope down the track we don't fall into this trap where they're in the final year and we're in a limbo, that we're well ahead of schedule and we figure out when to do, what to do. This is where Man City, they've been so seamless over the past few seasons. Whenever they see a player that they need to let go of, they let go of. They could have kept David Silva for another 2-3 more seasons if they wanted to. David Silva still balling out at Real Sociedad, but they knew the right time was then. He had to be gone. Vincent Kompany, I know he had a lot of injuries. Maybe he could have stuck around. Do you know what I mean? Much like we should have known that the time for Azpilicueta should have been finished, but we've ended up giving him another 2-year contract. He could possibly go still in summer, but he should have gone to Barcelona already. Do you know what I mean? And it's these sort of things. It feels like we don't have a particular person. And I don't think it's the coach's duty to do this. I don't think this is Graham Potter's duty to figure out when is the right time to let who go. He can recommend, but I think this is where director of football comes into play. Now, coming back to the Jorginho situation, much like the Kante thing, like, I appreciate everything Jorginho has done for this football club, much like N'Golo Kante. But it's time to revamp. It's time to look for the future. As you said, Matisse, so well said. We are looking to rebuild. Some of these brothers won't be there to see the rebuild. And I get it. We can't just influx the team with new players and youngsters. You do need certain level of experience to oversee that rebuild. I understand that. But I think for some of these players, Jorginho and N'Golo Kante specifically, the expiration date is near now. Like, we've seen the best of these players, and it's time to get other players. Like, don't tell me in the comment section later on that, oh, there's no one out there that can do the Jorginho job.
Are people not intrigued, like excited to see a new midfield? I am for one, after seeing this team not challenge for the Premier League since 2017 when we won it. I'm excited to see what a new midfield looks like. I would have been excited to see what Tchouameni looks like in this midfield. I would have been excited to see what a new Chelsea midfield looks like. Just a faster tempo, more durable. Hopefully can handle more transitions back and forward. Our counter-attack stinks.
and it's not just the counter. Like, where's the creativity? We've had players in the past in the likes of Mata, Oscar, Lampard, Ballack, like, so much creativity, so much charisma, so much like technicality. Like, we need that back, man. And there's talks about Jude Bellingham possibly going to Liverpool. Liverpool fans are so confident that he's going, why aren't we in the mix? We should be in the mix. We should not let.
We are.
I think
Imagine
we
a
are.
Tchouameni Bellingham midfield. Lord,
Yeah, I think we are in the mix, but I get the feeling we will be very quickly out of the mix if we don't make top 4 and if we're not relevant. Do you know what I mean? Like Liverpool's relevant. We could very quickly become irrelevant, and I hope that's not the case. These players, they want to play for teams that are doing well. So look, Chukwuemeka is one I'm very excited about. I hope this upcoming fixtures in October, there's so many, that we see at least something from him off the bench, if not a start. Because there's been some big talks about Chukwuemeka. Like Aston Villa were willing to pay big money to keep him. Do you know what I mean? So let's see what he's all about. Let's see what Cesar Casady is all about, and so on and so forth. So
yeah. And this is not to alleviate the attack of the fact that when we do create, they stink. Like that's true as well. I saw Jorginho play some really nice passes, whether it was the last game or the game before. I think it was the last game. And then Kai like fluffs his lines and doesn't connect with the ball properly after a really nice lofted chip. But the point is that we need it to be more consistent. You know, I mean, just look at Man City's midfield. Look at it. Look at the structure of it. That is what we should be aspiring for. And too many times I see our most creative, again, I keep saying our team is very backwards. Sometimes the more creative passer, say if Jorginho shows up with the creativity, he's playing the deepest. But then Kante, the best defensive-minded midfielder, is playing up the highest in the final third. The team is built backwards, and you can't switch those two. You can't. So it's time to reshuffle and reshape that midfield so it actually starts to make sense. Let the maths make sense, because you know you can't play Kante as the holding midfielder by himself because he will leave that position. And we know Jorginho is not a cam. So can we start to make the midfield make sense? Because it doesn't make sense. People's traits don't match their position. And that goes so that can be said for so many players in this team when we watched them over the last few months, even since the beginning of the season. We see players operating in zones where they're just not good enough. Final third opportunities and positions, and the players in those areas are not technicians. They're not able to play that final pass. They're not able to play that final ball, to take that shot from distance. So we need to start making the team make sense again. When the team makes sense, I have no doubt the performances will start to make more sense as well. Because when you look at the Balaks and the Lampards, those are the players you want in the final third. You don't want Mikel in the final third. I know he started off as a attacking midfielder for Nigeria, but you don't want Mikel really on the edge of the area. He was playing in DM because it made sense. Because he was able to be press resistant, pick up the ball, make those passes, win the ball back, and pass it to the more creative players and the players that could also shoot and like it just makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I find it nuts, but yeah, we're a very backwards organization, but hopefully we're starting to fix that now. Just talk to me as well. I mean, look, about this situation with the team. I could reel off a bunch of incidents, should we call them, this summer and up until now with this sporting director, where we have made ourselves look a bit of a mess, a little bit of in a muck. And maybe it's inexperience or whatever, but going forward, Miz, do you just want less to be public knowledge? Because I feel like we're all ITKs. The ITKs are going to go out of business because I know exactly what you know, sir. You telling me that you know something. I know what you know because it's right there in front of me. I know that we went after this sporting director and then we went after that one. And then that one was pissed that we went after that one first. And now he rejected us too. And we did it with defenders and we did it with the transfer window. So I don't want to be an ITK anymore. I don't want to know anything. Do you wish for that silence as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't mind the odd rumors here and there, but when it's so open, when every move is so open, and I think with the Christoph Freund situation, apparently Salzburg were put off by how public it was, how public knowledge it was that Freund was going to go, and it wasn't just Christoph Freund; it was his entire staff. Like it was him and all the other people that help him out finding these gems for Salzburg. And now, once again, we're doing that with Leverkusen as well, their sporting director and so on and so forth. I think there was a recent tweet that was out, whether it was from Fabrizio Romano, I think it might have been from Fabrizio Romano, saying that Chelsea want to be discreet now. They want to keep things hush. It does look embarrassing, man. We got embarrassed in the transfer window by Barcelona, like Rafinha, Koundé, and so many more. Frankie de Jong, you know, like these sort of things should be a little bit more tight-lipped, and I'm okay for all the stories to come once this transaction is finished. Once it's finished, you can go, okay, this is how it all transpired and it all happened. I think the previous regime was very good at doing that, keeping things tight-lipped. This regime, I don't know whether they think the clicks are good. Like, let people talk about Chelsea. You know,
they've grown a lot of news accounts on Twitter this window.
and I don't know whether the new owners sort of feel any publicity is good publicity. I want the world to be talking about Chelsea. But I think soon they're starting to realize any publicity ain't good publicity because it could bother other opposites. Like you saw what Brighton did, you know, all that news about Cucurella that came out. Brighton had to come out and calm their fans down that, hey, no deal with Cucurella yet. Eventually enough, it happened. But I think Todd Bowley and the consortium need to understand you got to operate a little bit differently to your American style of things. But I think Guni could probably give us a bit of heads up, because you being in America, like how it all operates, the media and whatnot. Is it open? Is it a textbook? I suppose.
I'd say so. I mean, in terms of forgive my ignorance, people, if I'm completely off the mark here, but I do know, like, in terms of like your basketballs and things like that, when trades are about to happen, like they're very widely spoken about. But then you've also got to take into consideration the business model of how things are done in the NBA and the Premier League. Todd Bowley's had to learn the hard way. In the NBA, everything is done by trades. So it's like, okay, I'll give you this player for that player, and there has to be an agreement. So there's not really a financial price that's also put on top of that. Now, what Todd has come to find is that the more you talk on the media, the higher the price is going to go up, because there's things like the club's reputation that you're doing it to. Quite rightly, like you said, with the Brighton situation, everything might have been agreed behind closed doors. But when you start to push that out to the forefront, you've got Brighton fans that are thinking, well, this is our player of the year. And on top of that as well, who's going to replace this guy? It's going to cause discord over there. So you'd rather get this thing done quietly and then the replacement brought in instead of talking. But this is where the premium is going to come in. It's going to keep coming in for Todd Bowley. And now that we've seen it with the Leipzig situation, or Salzburg situation, with Michael Frund. For me, I'll tell you this. There's a silver lining in this cloud. And this has happened several times with Chelsea during this summer transfer window. Is although he looks to be outside of Michael Edwards, looking to be our number one option, I read, I think it was Ben Jacobs that was saying, because we're not getting Michael Frund, we're going to be going for Paul Mitchell now, who is keen on the job. And that guy and Michael Edwards, for me, were my number one candidates.
Duo. Maybe a duo.
That's what I'm saying. And then so for me to see that, it's just like, well, why do we keep doing this? Our number ones are never as good as our number twos and number threes. So right now I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever first target that we're going for, forget it. I don't want that guy. Hopefully we don't get him, because it seems like the target that's afterwards, the backup one, is the correct one. And when we're in a similar situation here. Hold on, my kids are shouting the place down. Let me just tell them to be quiet. One second.
all good. So yeah, I mean, I hear it, and for me, it's a weird one. We have to move in silence. I know it's a funny thing to say online, because it tends to be about results, but now this is actually about, just maintaining some sort of secrecy, and also not putting off other candidates for the job, because if this can happen in real life. If you are going for a job and you know that you weren't the preferred option, but they missed out on their top target, you may still take that job, if they come to you. However, if competition comes for you and they make it clear to you that, listen, you are our top target, we have been tracking you for years, we want you in this role at this company. Now, who are you going to choose? Them or the team or the company that said, we didn't really want you like that, but now we're coming to you second, third choice down the line, and they're both paying the same and everything like that. You're obviously going to go where you're wanted, because humans want to feel wanted where they are. That's just natural. So we have to be careful that, because if I can read this, I know Mitchell can read this. So, if I can access all of this news on Twitter so freely, it's almost too easy. So everybody else can. And I'm not saying it's gonna mean that he doesn't join us. I'm just saying that we've folded because of competition before, and it could potentially happen again. You never know. So we have to be very careful.
I was just gonna add, like, look at the recent incident, that dirty text messages or something from that.
Yes. From
What's
the
his name?
commercial director.
Commercial director.
Yeah.
Do you know that incident happened?
Steve
June.
Atkins, is it?
No. Steve Atkins is the communication director that just left. He got a better job, or he got an offer from McLaren's Racing. Lots of people there's a total cleanup that's going on. But anyway, going back to that Willoughby guy, I think his name's something Willoughby.
Yes, right.
June 2021 was when that incident happened, and he was still at City. Now, off the back of what Matisse and Guni said, City, I mean, obviously the stuff that this Willoughby guy did, text messages, is wrong, and it's absolutely poor, and it's filthy. But City, since June 2021, has been able to keep that on the hush. And eventually enough, they've been able to get rid of this guy to Chelsea off the back of Tom Glick. Tom Glick seems to be taking everyone from Man City Group, whoever he knows. Maybe he just needs to calm down a little bit, give some other people a bit of an opportunity. But the message here is, look at the way City, they've been able to keep that news on the hush. You think City didn't know that this brother, Willoughby brother, had some dirty text messages sent to Catalina Kim? I'm pretty certain the sheikhs over there, the Middle Eastern brothers over there, they would have kept a tab on this guy, and they would have said, don't be naughty. We can make you disappear any moment, so keep your cool, right? And as soon as he comes to Chelsea, Matt Law special, article drops, he's sacked, and dirty messages to Catalina Kim. We've got to be very, very careful, man. We need to understand how to keep some stories under the hush. Especially for the players. Even, boys, Wesley Fofana. Like, I'm glad we ended up getting him. Wesley Fofana wasn't the first name in the transfer window. No. There were so many defenders that we went through. De Ligt was a huge one.
Ake,
oh my God. Nathan Ake. Right. That was a big one. Kim Pembe at a point was a huge one as well. Yeah. We literally went through Vardio. Let's not forget, Vardio.
We still tried to get him, isn't it, on deadline day?
91 million. The list, we went all the way down, and then we're like, okay, let's go with Wesley Fofana. As great as Wesley feels, yes, this is my dream, I've always wanted. Surely somewhere in his back of his mind, he's thinking, I wasn't the first brother that they were thinking about. So we just need to hush things a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit too open sesame out in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Have some decorum, have some respect, Chelsea Football Club. Right, you're on the King's Road. You know, act like it. Moving like you're in Camden Market right now or something. Do you know what I mean? Moving mad like the North London clubs. Now move sensible. I know the area that you're situated in, and it's quite a classy land. To be fair, listen, I'm unless there's any more massive topics that I haven't. I mean, Pulisic's quotes, I kind of want to wait until the book fully comes out because I want to read it. Because I find it intriguing. He's a current player for us. I'm actually going to get that book. I don't tend to always just snap up any book that these professionals bring in, but Man United fans would have definitely got the Ferguson one. This is definitely a big book for Chelsea fans because it's a current player. I mean, you know, by the time it comes out in the UK, he should still be here. So I'm interested to see his perspective on things. He seems to have said a lot. But outside of that, unless I've missed anything else, there doesn't really seem to be any massive other topics going on around that I may have skated past. Guni, I don't think so.
No, not really. Nah. I think at the minute it's just the hunt for the sporting director. That's really it. And then obviously the controversy that came out. But just one thing I did want to say, just on the earlier topic we did speak about on the Callum Hudson-Odoi situation, is that there are, like, he's got previous examples to go by. And I think that's a bit of an extra pressure on him because, like, these are players before they were playing consistently were talked about, like Callum Hudson-Odoi, for example. Your Jadon Sancho, before he got big, he was talked under the same umbrella as Callum Hudson-Odoi. Your Jude Bellingham's doing what he's doing over there in Borussia Dortmund. Now, obviously, different managers, different systems or whatever. But in that league, this is a massive, massive opportunity for Callum Hudson-Odoi to really break that ceiling and be spoken about in a similar way that your Bellinghams and soon to be, if not now already, your Musialas who you used to play with are going to be spoken about. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot for him to, like, there's a big opportunity for him to really solidify himself with this loan move. So I hope he does it, man. Like, I know I've been critical of Callum in the past. I've even said that I want him sold for a decent price. Do you know what I mean? So he's still our player. He's still out on loan. I just really hope he goes out there and kills it, man. I honestly do.
Yeah, same. I love it when these Cobham talents take themselves abroad and go and do a madness, whether it's Abraham at Roma, Tomori at AC Milan, Callum, whether it's loan or permanent. Yeah. If it's not quite working out here and you go and spread your wings and go and fly out there, it only reflects well on the club. It's kind of like, you know, the headmaster at school and you see that one of your former students have got a diploma or they're now big time in any profession. You write that on your website and you put them in a certain little column and you say, yeah, that was my student. It gets the brownie points up for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Even Musiala, as much as it hurts, no one talks about him as much as they should. You know, if we're going back and, you know, crying about former Cobham products, this is the one that people really should have tears flowing out of their eyeballs.
German international, man.
German international. Bayern Munich starting attacking midfielder.
That's not a joke.
Bro, he's unbelievable. He's exactly what we need. You know where they say Thomas Tuchel knows it? This is exactly what we need.
What was needed.
Yeah. Musiala in attack. Yeah. Silva at the back. Chelsea gonna win the Champions League. That's what we actually need. Yeah. That's the real song. None of this other nonsense. So that's the one to really cry about. I'm not gonna lie. The fact that we let that one fall through. I mean, he was German. Maybe he always going to return to his native country. When they're that young, I feel like as a club, you can't overstep your mark with the pressure of a pro contract because there's family and maybe he's homesick and all these things. So that plays a part as well. I think we actually had that situation happen this summer where we had an academy kid come in and then we actually had to let him go straight back to where the club
Tyler Diblin, Tyler.
Yes, because of some personal reasons. And then people in the comments were like, "Oh," and I was like, "Guys, when it says personal reasons, it means personal reasons, which means it's none of your damn business. But also, you don't know the reason, and it could be very serious. So let him go back. He's a kid."
You want me to give you an interesting story about Tyler Diblin, actually, while he was at Southampton. So there was a game. Remember, they used to stay. I don't know if they're still there, but they used to be around the Devon area, his family. And there was a time where they were playing a game against Manchester City, the Southampton Youth Academy. They're playing against Man City. And obviously, you're going from Devon all the way up to Manchester. So his dad, he's got him in the whip at like, I think 3:30 in the morning or 4 in the morning. Something crazy like that. Drive all the way up to Manchester now. Tyler's getting ready in the prep. The coach has come to his dad and said, "Listen, Dad, come over here. We can't play him today." They said, "What? Big man, are you crazy? I just drove all the way from Devon. Like, what are you doing?" They said, "Listen, if we play Tyler in this game, Manchester City are just going to take him off us. And we just don't want that. So you're not even going to be in the bench. Thanks for coming, but you're just going to be spectating." Could you imagine?
That's actually not a bad idea. I'm not going to lie. That's not a bad plan.
Well, Palmeiras did it to us with Endrick. Remember when we played them in the Club World Cup? Yeah, the director said if we had played him, because at the time he didn't sign his new contract. Yeah. So the director said if we had played him against Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel would have come to us and said how much we're taking him off you. So that's why they didn't play him.
But he's also only 16, that kid, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hendrick. Yeah, he's really young. And it's funny because even Arsenal, when they let the 15-year-old kid play, I saw reports immediately. Chelsea, Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool, all interested in Arsenal young starlet. I was like, bro, he literally played 5 minutes. What's going on? I would love to go and make my debut, not because I think I'm going to make it at Chelsea, but just because then my clout. I mean, imagine I would have everybody after me regardless of how I played. Actually, no, I'm old now. What am I, 25 now? It's too late. It's too late. Don't worry about it. It's too late. It's too late for me. 10 years ago, maybe I would have had the opportunity. It's too late for me now. But yeah, I mean, it's mad, man. Like desperation for the next big thing. People will buy up all of the young talent just to get one right or two right, because the desperation to find the next talent is just there. Imagine if we had got Neymar instead of Barca, or we got Neymar the year before Barca got him. You know, there's all these stories of Wenger and Zlatan went to go and train, but then he said, "Listen, I don't train."
but apparently the club are trying to set up relationships in Brazil and in some countries in Europe, so we can have the first choice per se for these kind of top desired players. I know we're trying to work one out with Santos. If we can get that with Santos, that would be ridiculous.
As long as we don't get someone too young and get ourselves transfer banned again, like Kakuta, then
Kakuta. And I think under this new regime, one thing that's really clear we are going to focus on the youth a lot. Like there is going to be a massive focus on that. And hopefully down the track, we won't have the Musiala situation again, because these people, they were baffled when they came to Chelsea that there's no data on anyone. Like they're literally like, give me the data on the academy players.
We don't have that.
Here.
We don't have that.
We don't have
You
that.
need to ask somebody else.
Call up Statman Dave. Maybe he's got check out his tweets.
Go and ask, I don't know, Ryan, CFC Central. Go and ask them for the data. We don't have the data.
We don't have the data. They've got the threads. But it's interesting that they're talking about, you know, the multi-dimensional structure, owning a team in Portugal, owning a team in Brazil, and possibly having more of a say where our players can go, you know, and have more of a say of what the player needs to do when out on loan. You know, that'd be fantastic. Imagine if Chelsea owners were able to own a club in Portugal in the first division, and we can send our loan players over there. And you can potentially have, you know, like that Leipzig and Salzburg situation. Both of them are in the Champions League.
Yeah, so we can just get a monster can and say Monster Chelsea or something. Monster. Shout out to Monster, but also Monster is a scary. That's a scary team. That sounds like a team that's serious. Do you know what I mean? No one ain't. That's not easy to play against.
Wasn't that the team in Space Jam?
I don't know.
Monster or whatever.
I don't probably. I don't know. I'm just thinking like Monster Chelsea, Monster this team, Monster that team. You know, good energy drink. I think it works, and I think Lewis Hamilton's sponsored as well. I think everything ticks, tick, because he wants to get involved in Chelsea. That's your little affiliation link as well. You know, 50% off on clothing. Do you know what I mean? Perfect for Lewis, because I know Lewis is trying to get involved. That's perfect. I think that all works very nicely.
3 stripes down the shirt.
Oh God, the branding would be horrendous. The branding would be oh my God, Jesus, that's got to go on. I don't even know, not even the training kit. One thing I will say as well, actually, before we wrap up, is that you see the new away kit that's finally come out. Like everybody can see it. It's really nice.
Let me
see it.
I
don't know if any of you guys have got it.
I'm just having a look.
The white and the blue. I like the.
That's beautiful.
It's wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Have you got it on the screen? Have you?
I haven't got it on the screen. No. Do you know what? I want to have it here.
Isn't this the one that we wore in against Leeds?
Yes. I thought there was another jersey, Matisse.
No. I'm just, the only reason why I'm talking about that one is because they had a massive delay, obviously getting it out for everybody to buy. And now, because I went to the mega store, because that opened up again, and I was in there, you know, just picking up props, because I was like, let me get some props to put here. You know, we got some little just to make it more, make it more interesting for the background. I said, wow. First of all, I said, wow, where's the Stamford Bridge street signs? They're all sold out. Everybody's bought all those up. So I'm going to have to start ripping them off the actual real signs. And then the other thing I said is I need the away kit to put that up here, because the away kit looks so lovely. This pattern is growing on me. It really is.
Yeah, it's nice.
The story behind this good.
Really, it really annoys me that every single Chelsea kit that I diss at the beginning, and every single time it starts to warm up on me. What's the third kit as well before we wrap up? I can't remember what does that even look like?
Apparently, there's a third one. There's another one. I don't know, Guni, have you heard? Like people been saying there's another off cream or something like that. There's another.
Yeah, but we've not seen.
Now you mentioned
there is. There's maybe a third kit.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that color. Is it the color that you've seen with the tracksuits that
the cream one?
Well?
Yeah. So yeah.
If that's a real thing, that third kit looks nice.
That looks nice. Yeah.
Even that tracksuit, bruv. You see when Chelsea released that, I have to get it. I have to get that.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's true, but a lot of people are saying that's apparently.
It must be, isn't it? Because if that's the tracksuit, then it must match. It must match. But yeah, the tracksuit that you're talking about, I saw it. They were getting on the plane. Woo! I said, wow, that is looking real nice. I might have to cop that, but you can't step on public transport with that stuff, because that will get dirty instantly. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of airwaves chewing gum stuck to the bottoms. Next thing you know, wow, you will never see the quality again. It will be gone before you know. But listen, let's wrap up. It's been a great show. Special guest Guni in the building, bro. Let them know where to find you, man. Let them know.
Guni in the building, aka Eunice with the tan. You can find me on Man Knows Football. But the past 5 or 6 days, I haven't put up any content. That's purposefully because I'm trying to up the editing skills. Like I said, After Effects, I'm learning that. But definitely follow the channel. I will be back with more content. Today, I'm going to be going over to Barstool as well. We're filming Back Again episode. We have a special guest as well for that one. So make sure you do tune into that tomorrow when it is released.
There you go. And Miz, let them know, man. Let them know what's coming up and let them know where to find you. As always, big up.
Yeah, man. The other side of the coin, only a couple of hundred away from 17,000 subscribers. So if you guys could help out with that, that'd be much appreciated. In terms of content, look, it's just the general news that's gone around with Chelsea. If there's something, if there's a hot topic that comes up, I'll definitely elaborate on it. Yeah, we'll see if we do any international watch-alongs, if there's anything interesting that catches my
your
eye.
fancy.
Yeah, I was thinking, though, because it's in a good time for me, Japan, USA. I'm really keen to see Christian Pulisic, how he plays again. It's a good Japanese team. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try and cover that if there is... if somewhere in Australia they telecast that. I think that'll be very, very interesting watch. I think, Guni, you'd probably be watching that, yeah?
I have to. My kids are American, half American. So, yeah, it's a weird one for me because I like to banter the Americans, but then my son's just going to get all upset. Like, Dad, what are you doing, man? I'm American too. And all of that stuff. So I can't really do it too much anymore, but I'm definitely going to watch that. I'm going to watch that game.
Is there a lot of hype in USA for that match coming up? I know it's friendly, but is it people talking about it in the streets?
Around the Football Factory, which is a football bar, 100%. 100%.
I've been there, by the way. Football Factory. That's New York, right?
Yeah. I do content over there as well sometimes. So
nice.
It's a good place. So it's a good.
Place.
You've been there.
Yeah,
you've been.
Place.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure you subscribe. That's all in the description for you as well to get that done. For me, content wise, like Miss said, I don't know, but something will come out. Do you know what I mean? Content is coming out every day, and if not every day, definitely, if there's ever a day gap, then just know that the content is definitely coming the next day. But it's pretty much every day. There's a lot of long form content dropping over the international. We had the podcast there with Dami and Anita there in the studio. So if you haven't checked that out, that was uploaded yesterday when this drops. London Clubs Carnage is there, Battle of the North is there, and also Chelsea Family. If you never heard of this series, Chelsea Family is inspired by Modern Family. And it's a series where I sit on a couch and play the different characters, i.e. players. And I chose Cucurella, I chose Pulisic, I chose Aubameyang and Ziyech, and I put on all the different accents, and I just gave their perspective of the start of the season and Tuchel sacking and whatnot. And yeah, it was interesting. So check that out for sure, because I'm gonna keep
the Cucurella one. More than you can believe.
I'm gonna keep rolling with that series. Maybe it will become a day after the game is over. Maybe that will be a player post-match. You never know. That might be a player version of a post-match the day after the game with their perspective of the game. Something creative, something different. So that series has started. And obviously when the football returns, the reviews, the previews, the roundabout, everything. So big up your damn selves. Make sure you subscribe to all the boys, and I'll see you guys next week. In a bit, people. Peace.